In this video, you're gonna learn how anti-Islamic political parties in Europe lie about Islam and create this division in European mind and European society. This is based on a documentary I watched on YouTube about Denmark and how they are very tolerant. My name is Jan. I'm a European Muslim convert from Slovakia. So I want to provide my view on this issue since I live here and I've traveled around Europe, and I also am a Muslim. So that's kind of a good combination. So recently in Denmark, there's been this kind of a politician called Rasmus Paludan, who has been provoking the Muslims by burning the Quran, by making up things about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, by going into Muslim neighborhoods and basically just blaspheming. And then there are these Muslims who don't like it, and I can't really use the footage that I've seen in this documentary because it literally gets blocked. My entire video gets blocked, and I can't even post it without a copyright strike, which I don't understand, to be honest. For example, he said that Prophet Muhammad had sex with pigs and dogs, and if Muslims want to leave, they have an option. They can go back to the shithole countries. Sorry for the expression, but to one of the 51 bad countries in the Muslim world. This is what he's saying. I'm just paraphrasing it, but go check it out. You'll see it's much worse. To the point about the pigs and all that, that's a completely blatant lie. I'm not even gonna address it because this is a lie, and I can tell that if somebody's this dishonest and lies about just basic information that you can Google within a few seconds, that person, it does not have a good intention in their heart. I'm open to any criticism of Islam, but if it's gonna be a complete lie, then why even start? Why even bother? The second thing is the Quran burning stuff. I mean, essentially, I don't really get that, because if you knew something about Islam, you would understand that millions of Muslims around the world have memorized the Quran. So even if you burn every single Quran in the world, it's gonna be back within a few hours, and you can do nothing about that because it used to be memorized. This is how the Quran was preserved, and it will never change. All this burning, eating of the Quran, it's kind of a show, but doesn't really have any effect. And it's a provocation. And why is it a provocation? Why would I be mad if you do this? To be honest, I'm not mad. It just shows your insecurity. It shows your lack of intelligence and IQ. It shows that you have an agenda which is not honest. And I'm not gonna respond to you, because if I would give you power. But there are many Muslims who will revolt against you. And with the Quran burning, and imagine this. Let's say you are a gay person and you support LGBTQ. And I go on the square and I take your flag and I burn it in front of you. And I say, hey, I despise these people and this thing. You would be probably mad and you would scream it. Imagine you're a Christian, practicing Christian, and I go and stomp on your Bible and start eating it and say this is nonsense, garbage. You would be mad. Same Jews with the Torah if I started eating it. Let's say you're a really proud Danish person, proud on your country. I take Danish flag and I burn it in front of your eyes and I say this is nothing, this country. Everyone has an attachment to something. Muslims believe Quran is the word of God. So obviously that's gonna be affecting them. Such as you believe maybe Denmark is great, and if I destroy the symbol of that, well then you're making me mad, you know. And so that's it. Everyone has some buttons, and this is not about free speech. It's just you're gonna take something people believe in and identify and destroy it in front of them. Don't expect to be patted on the back. You're gonna get slapped. Like, why would you do that? For example, let's say I don't agree with LGBT. I would never burn out their flag. Why? What's the point of that? Why insist hatred towards another group of people? Or let's say I don't agree with Christians. I would never in my craziest dreams burn Bible or eat it, even though it says some crazy stuff. Why would I do that? I can just debate with them. It's just a PR. We need to discuss the heart of the problem. What's your problem with Islam? Let's have this discussion. A lot of war-torn countries such as Iraq or Syria, which with the help of Danish soldiers actually got completely destroyed. So what are the chances? Where should we go? To be honest, For example, there are great Muslim countries such as Malaysia, Turkey is doing pretty well. There are some great countries in the Muslim world and some very poor countries in the Muslim world because of colonization, because of the war and genocide that happened, for example, in Algeria, where 1 million people died, where French people basically genocided them just 100 years ago. What do you expect people to do? What do you expect the country to do if that such a atrocity happens? You can see the flaws with this model. If you tolerate everything, such as in these Scandinavian countries, you'll have a paradox where you need to tolerate a minority group which doesn't share your values, and then it creates these problems. So you have a choice: either stop pretending you're tolerant because you're not, or be tolerant, but be really tolerant and open yourself up to Muslims. But what's funny, in Denmark, you have this law where you can actually say anything if you're a public figure or running for an office, and there is no kind of limit on your free speech. So you can say overly racist remarks and you'll have a police escort walking you through the Muslim neighborhood, because that's the law of the land and you can say whatever you want. So it's a strange system, you know, where the police officers protect this guy while he's harassing or provoking the Muslims, you know. Basically, he's kind of a loserish guy where he just sits down in his office and his entire point is to get rid of the migrants, but not just any migrants, of course, the Muslim one. And why? Because they have a low IQ. If you mix it up with our population in Denmark, the entire IQ of the land will drop. And the interviewer asked him, did you measure your IQ? How big is your IQ? And he said, I'm satisfied. So he's a bizarre individual. I'm really sorry I can't show you the clip because I will get blocked immediately. Just a sentence: the problem with Denmark is many migrants. Well, are you including the Christian migrants or the migrants from some other backgrounds, the Hindu migrants? Or are you just specifically targeting Muslim migrants here? Because it looks like you have a problem with Islam. You don't really have a problem with migrants. Am I correct? The point with IQ doesn't make any sense, because Muslims are supposed to pursue education. This is one of the keys in Islam, where you need to educate yourself on the Islamic sciences and on secular sciences. So therefore, in the Middle Ages, or even before, you had things like astronomy coming from the Muslim world first, things like judiciary system, the idea that innocent is innocent until proven otherwise. So there's an expression in English for this, but this lawyerish idea comes from Islam. It doesn't come from Europe. It comes from the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You have medicine, which Muslims also basically took over. You have philosophy, which Muslims also helped to develop, especially Al-Ghazali. You have fields such as mathematics, algebra, what is this al-Fatiha? You know, it sounds foreign. You have things like the Baghdad House of Wisdom, where all the people would go to study, and there would be nothing in Europe in those times for the people to go to. The first university in the world was, in the Muslim world, by the way, opened by a Muslim woman. So education is very important for Muslims, and when you're looking at Muslim countries, don't look at them as an example of Islam, because there are many Muslim countries. How do you define a Muslim country, by the way? It's just because they're Muslims there? No, they have some history before Islam, and that is culture, and that gets intertwined with Islam a lot, which you should really know how to separate these things. So for example, you have women's circumcision in Somalia, and it's still going on. However, it has been abolished by Islam. So you see, it doesn't matter, it's a Muslim country, they still do something against Islam. And this is the case in many Muslim countries. Many Muslim countries don't live according to Islam. With regards to the integration, the only integration you want is a functioning member of society. So if a Muslim is a doctor and he prays 5 times a day, but he doesn't drink, this doesn't affect Denmark. Or if a Muslim is a doctor and he raises his family with a memorization of the Quran and with the values of Islam, this doesn't affect you or your society at all. It's just because Muslim population is growing and Muslims are increasing in number, and your population is decreasing because you don't have kids. You're afraid that in a couple of years there will be this huge minority which is going to be ruling over you, maybe, or something like that. And that might happen. But that's natural. This is how people evolve. If you don't want to have kids, then obviously Muslims will be more, and within a few centuries or decades, Muslims will be running Europe. That's the case. But for now, they will not be imposing their values on you. They just want to live according to the Quran and Sunnah in their own communities. Now, if you as Danish people elect a Muslim president in the future, and you decide you want majority Muslim parliament, well then, democracy, majority spoken, we want a Muslim ruling. Subhanallah, this is the case. This is your rules. So don't come here and try to change the game of the rules. The game is democracy. Let's do democracy. And this guy is having a false comparison, like show me one Muslim country, show me one European country which integrated Muslims. Well, Muslims can integrate, but they cannot assimilate. This is not allowed in Islam. You always have to have your 5 daily prayers. You have to do the Muslim things if you want to be a Muslim. And Muslim wants to be a Muslim because it's the best thing in the world, as I explained. So you can never change Islam, and you will always have Muslims living in their groups, and they'll be looking like they do forever, because that's Islam. It's submission. It will never change. You need to understand this. But that doesn't mean that they can't live in 21st century or 31st century. They can live in any century. It's just their values don't change. What they use, technology and everything, that can change, but the values don't change. The key principles don't change. And if you understand that, then the question is meaningless. What integration? You want us to get rid of our identity and religion? Well, that's never going to happen. So it's like, this is a false comparison. So just understand what Muslim actually means. Muslim means the one who submitted to God. So if you submit to God, you're not submitting to Denmark or anything else. You want to live the life according to the Prophet. But what's the problem with that? I still don't understand. What is your problem? Because they can't drink, or what? They have too many babies? I need to understand, where's the problem really here? Even if you have billions of Muslims in Europe, what's the problem? No one is forcing you. There's a strict ruling in Islam where you can't force someone to accept Islam. Can't force anyone to accept Islam. And if you live in a non-Muslim land, such as Denmark, you have to obey the laws of the land. So Muslims will obey it. For example, let's take an example. You can have multiple wives in Islam. I'm not going to get into it, why and whatever. Even though it's abolished in many countries, but this is something coming from the Quran and Sunnah. This is true. We don't hide this. And let's say it's up to 4 wives. Okay, men can have 4 wives. Not many men have this. I mean, most men, 99% have 1 wife, like everyone, because you have to have a certain level of money, certain level of influence, and there are many conditions you must meet to have multiple wives, plus the first wife has to agree to that. It's a very complex topic. Anyways, let's take that. If we go to Denmark and we see, okay, this is not allowed, polygamy is not allowed, you don't do it. It's simple as that. And if it bothers you that Muslims can't drink because we don't drink, why? How is that impacting your freedom that Muslims don't drink? How is that impacting that we don't integrate with that specific thing of drinking and partying? How does that matter? How does it affect your life? You can do whatever you want. You can party and drink. Do. But don't force these things on us. If we know they are harmful, scientifically we know these things are harmful, so why would I want to do them, even though I was drinking like a crazy guy when I was young? I was one of the most drunk people you could meet, because I'm from Europe. We are driven by alcohol. But again, this is not about integration here. So your issue is really misunderstanding the text, misunderstanding Islam and Quran. And for that, I'm here to educate you. So if you want a free lesson, and if you are this anti-Islamic person from Europe, talk to me in the comments. I'll explain everything. 4 wives, subhanAllah, 4 wives, capital punishment, apostasy, whatever you want to bring up, bring it up. There's an explanation for everything. And if you just stay out of your emotions and explain that, I think we can get to a common understanding. You don't have to become a Muslim, but you can at least understand, okay, Islam is not here to kill everyone. Islam is not here to take over. Islam is here to spread the message of God. And people don't agree or don't accept, that's okay. People accept, that's good for them. So Islam has been here for a long time. Muslims have been ruling Spain for 800 years. Look at it now, it's still there. Christians are still there. They didn't kill them. When Muslims take over a land, they don't kill the native people. There's the concept of dhimmi, or the protected people. So when Muslims were ruling India, and they are still ruling, kind of, not now, but when they were ruling India for over 600 years, they allowed Hindus to practice their religion. And today there's 1 billion Hindus in India, more than Muslims. When Muslims take over, they allow the minorities, they have to pay a special tax, they have to be under one caliphate, but they can do whatever they want within their own communities. They can even have their own court system and justice system and everything like that. Christian, Jewish, whatever. So this is the exactly different concept than coming to a country and genociding them, like the Europeans did. This is what we do. We go, we kill the native population, we implement our system. Take it, democracy, liberalism, French, whatever. This is not what Muslims do. They never do this. When Muslims kill and take over, and there's a battle or something like that in the past, nowadays it doesn't happen, but in the past, there's specific rules in Islam, in the Islamic warfare. You can't kill children, you can't kill women. You can't kill, let's say there's a church, you can't destroy the church. You can't destroy the church, you have to allow the people to practice their religion. You can't do many things. You have to give food to the slaves if you capture them. Everyone has rights in Islam. This doesn't happen even in today's day and age in a warfare where you destroy the mosques. For example, I was in Bosnia. Serbians destroyed 600 mosques 20 years ago. This wouldn't happen in the Islamic warfare. So, subhanAllah, this is the case. Stop looking at ISIS and dumb stuff, because ISIS and those extremists were created by the US invasion in Iraq. 2003. This was the case of the American intervention politics, and now Danish soldiers are serving in the military to fight ISIS. Who created them? Danish went into Iraq in 2003. They passed a resolution to help with the US invasion. What was it based on? Nothing. No evidence. Chemical weapons which were never found. So look, you're trying to patch a problem here, which you've created, and then you blame it on these people who tried to flee those countries because you destroyed them. Imagine I destroy Denmark, and you come to my country asking me to stay there, and you want to have your blonde hair or whatever, and I tell you, no blonde hair allowed. We don't tolerate blonde hair here. You have to shave your head. And you're like, no, but this is part of me, this is my identity. I need blonde hair. And we say, no, shave it. We only allow people to be bald. Blonde hair don't belong in public because they represent a symbol of a European race. And that is not allowed because you're not allowed to represent that or something like that. Wouldn't that be crazy? That's what you're doing with the hijab bans and all that. How is hijab threatening anything? Yeah, it's a religious symbol. So obviously you don't have a problem with a woman covering because you see covered nuns, covered Christian women or whatever, different types of women who cover. That's not a problem. The problem is a Muslim woman covering because that means she's following Islam. And that means something. And so your problem is really not with the covering or with this or that. Your problem is with Islam. And your problem is you don't understand Islam. You don't even know what Islam means. Islam means submission to who? Allah. Who is Allah? The creator of everything around you. The creator of the Big Bang, the creator of you, me, and it's God. Allah is God. He is the same God of the Bible and the Old Testament, the Torah. It's same. It's the one who Jesus prayed to. Jesus is in Islam, one of the mightiest messengers. Muhammad is just the last one. We have many messengers who are the same between Christians and Muslims. Muslim faith is the Christianity update because there's just one God. We don't have the doctrine of Trinity and Jesus, but essentially the message is the same. The values are the same. Christian values of family, God, community, obeying your parents, not killing, not stealing. These are the same values that Muslims have. The difference is Muslims stick to them because it's based on Islam, which is true. And this is based on Christianity, which is not true. Anyways, we can debate it, and we should. Why is Islam true? Why don't we debate this core issue? Because you don't understand Islam, so you just see kind of like the effects of Islam on society, but you don't really understand the message of Islam and what's the point of Islam really. And so if you understand why Muslims believe it, why Muslims think it is the 100% truth, then you would get it and you don't have to become a Muslim. I guess it comes from some hidden racism or some complex that you think you're better than someone else, but you're just not educated. So you're actually not better, you're actually worse because you're not educated, plus you're creating this instability in society and let's say this hatred towards a group of people. Please to remember that Islam can be both expansionist in nature, it has a rules for warfare, but it's also rules for peace. So it's both. Islam is flexible, it can accommodate for anything. It's a system, it's a government, it's a law, it's a religion, it's a philosophy, it's everything. It can do whatever it needs to do to survive. So that's what's going to happen. And Islam is capable of peace and living amongst people with different groups and treaties, just as the Prophet lived in Medina and in other places where he lived among Jews. And this is possible in Islam. If you can make treaties, it's better than fighting. That's preferable. So we have no issues here. I think the solution is really to understand for these people the basic of Islam, the Tawheed, the oneness of Allah, what the Islam is about, what are the pillars of Islam, who is God in Islam. And if Danish people or Europeans generally embrace Islam and start reverting back to it, then I think that's going to change a lot of people's mind. Because, for example, I had an interview with a Dutch politician, former politician who was a part of the People's Party in Dutch Parliament, very anti-Muslim party, anti-Islamic party. And he started to write a book about Islam and how it's horrible. And after a few years, he converted to Islam and embraced Islam. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. So you never know what's going to happen. And he now is a key representative of Islam on a Dutch scene. And
I got so much information that was at odds with the things I thought I knew. And what I did, because I thought, well, if I'm writing my book and it will be published, a lot of people who do like Islam or hate me or my former party will attack me in the book. So it has to be very correct. Everything I say I have to be sure that it's correct. So what I did, I was starting to write to people of authority when it comes to Islam, but also Christianity, Judaism. And one of the persons I wrote to was Abdul Hakim Murad. He's a professor from Cambridge University. His English name is Tim Winter. So he said, well, read the books I give to you. And he gave some authors, he gave some articles and stuff like that. And he said, read these books and then reread your old books. So you can see where they, the writers of my old anti-Islam books, take the wrong turn, or where they leave some crucial information behind, or whether they don't know it or they do it on purpose. That's what I did. And in the end, and that took a lot of years, a lot of time, after comparing, and it made so much things clear for me, because I had also, like most of the anti-Islamic persons, and perhaps you were one like myself, it's almost like there's like a concept with some standardized arguments against Islam. But in the end, all those arguments were answered in a very logical, very normal way. I got so much explanation that I didn't have arguments anymore. And when I really started reading about his life, and I read the book of Martin Links, it's about his life, and it was based on the earliest sources, like the Sirat and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And when I was reading it changed my way of looking at him as a person, because when I was young, and because of the denomination of my church, when you look at the old books that were written about Islam and the Prophet of Islam, were very negative. They said he is the Antichrist. He's everything what Christianity is not, in the most negative way. So my view of him was so negative that it was almost impossible to change. But because I read about his life and I read about what he did from the own sources, the Islamic sources, that started changing. And when I got the questions I did have back then after I read the books, that's really what changed my mind and what changed the way I looked at them. It's in the end, it's about knowledge. Do you really know what Islam stands for?
It's beautiful, we have these people who have done these things, and that has a ripple effect on society, where they see a white guy, who was anti-Muslim with all these things, and now he becomes a Muslim. What? Or me, or people like that. When native people start becoming Muslim, that's when things change. So we need dawah. We need to invite people to Islam, to help them understand the beauty of Islam, because Islam is the best thing that exists in this world. Believe me, no money, no nothing can give you what Islam can give you, and that's peace in your heart, and with the knowledge that there is only one God. That's it. And you know what's going to happen when you die. You know how to live this life. You have a blueprint, you have a GPS in life. So whenever you get lost, you can go back on track. It's the most beautiful thing. The best gift a human being can have is to have Islam. And I just hope more people could understand this message. And sometimes I love that these far-right politicians, this guy is not a politician, this guy is a joke, but these far-right guys, they oftentimes claim this heritage that how Europe has not been Muslim and stuff like that. Well, funny enough, there's this Jan guy, a Polish guy who defeated Ottomans, and he's celebrated by these far-right activists as one of the the biggest heroes of Europe to defeat the Muslims. However, what you're not sharing is that this guy Jan has built the first mosque in Poland for Tatar Muslims who helped to fight the Ottomans. Now, hold on a second. Why would another Muslim group fight against another Muslim group? Well, according to Islamic warfare, if you live under non-Muslim population, you are bound by the contract to the government. So if they are attacked, even by Muslims, they join the army. So that's what the Tatars did, and they fought the Ottomans, even though they are both Muslims, because they belong to the non-Muslim group. The Dutch, today they celebrate a day where they basically have a half moon, and they defeated Catholics with the help of who? Yes, you guessed it, Muslims, Ottomans, Bosnians, the same. So Islam has been in Europe for a long time. Long time. Then in the parliament, there's this guy called Kenneth Berth from Dansk Folkeparti, or the Party of the People, which is a kind of a far-right party, let's say, who says that show me one example of a successful country, a successful integration of Muslims in the Western Europe. One country, show me one. You can't, he said. He goes along amongst the students, and he talks about the integration, and that the hijab prevents people from integrating, because it's basically a symbol that you do not belong in this society and you want to separate yourself. So you should take it off and assimilate into the majority population. What do you mean it's distancing themselves from society? Yeah, from majority, but why is that a problem to you? Again, I'm not understanding this. You say you can identify as anyone in liberal society. So somebody can have pink hair, somebody can be a man but identify as a woman, somebody can identify as a tree or whatever. But if you put a headscarf on, well, no, not that. You can't identify as a Muslim. What? Why? What's the problem? I still don't get it. I know the issue, because I used to be anti-Muslim, anti-Islamic. I had this mindset as well. It's very low IQ mindset. It's a mindset coming from no knowledge about Islam. And if you're talking about these Middle Ages and stupid Muslims, look at the women in the UN Council wearing hijab. Look at the Singaporean president wearing hijab. Singapore is a shit country. I don't know. It seems doing pretty well. You can't just put these 2 billion people in one box, because this party has a youth organization, political organization, which looks like normal young kids at the university. However, they have a very strong agenda, very radical ideas, and I was quite shocked with their views. One of the guys said, we have a cultural problem in Denmark. This is a Christian country. Islam doesn't belong here, or something along those lines. The other problem is that one woman said that the Islamic religion prevents to be honest, this youth organization reminds me of my younger days, when I also used to be part of a youth political organization. It was such a joke. It was pointless, meaningless. We stood for nothing. Our values were coming from nothing. We were just there to drink and kind of pretend to have some influence. And these guys are the same. But what connects them is not what we had. What connects them is hatred towards Islam. And that's dangerous. This is like some radical thing that I can see here, where if this grows, it can be really dangerous. So if anyone watching this and knows some of these guys, send them this video and I'm gonna talk to them one by one. We have a Christian country, that's our values. No, Denmark is a secular country. It used to be Christian, but unfortunately no longer. And Christian values align perfectly with Muslim. So what's the problem? The value of family, the value of God, the value of community. As I said, these are the same as Muslim values. The value of modesty, same value. The value of man providing for family and protecting the woman, same value. What is the big difference? There's not much. There's not much. Look at the women, how they dressed 100 years ago in Denmark, and you'll see almost the exact same thing as you see with the Muslim women. So your values are secular, liberal values. That's what you mean. Not Christian. You're just hiding behind this Christian label because you don't go to church. You don't believe in God. We know these things that don't concern you. So you just projecting this image of Christian country, but beneath that is a secular, liberal idea. And this twisted some. The two women said that the Islamic religion is threatening to Danish culture and values, and they are sort of like, it's making them insecure and it's destroying Danish culture. With regards to this woman, the Islamic religion is destroying Danish culture. How? Tell me, how is Islam destroying Danish culture? Are Muslims forbidding you from going to cinema, or what are they doing? Tell me. I want to know. Because it looks like you're forbidding them from practicing just the basics of Islam. But what are they doing to you as a minority? I don't get it. And why are they making you insecure? A thing such as a forced marriage is not in Islam. It does not exist. A woman has a right to choose her husband. A husband has a right to choose his woman. If a woman doesn't want to get married to a husband, that's her right. The same for a husband. The thing that exists are arranged marriages. If I ask my mom, hey, can you find me a wife? She knows her friend has a daughter. She meets us, links us up together. Just as you are looking on the app for a potential mate, they are looking through the family and network. But there are no such thing as forced marriages in Islam. What they do in Muslim countries, again, is different. I don't know which country has forced marriages. That's sick. But it's not Islam. Again, you think just because these are Muslims, they stick to the Islam. No, they might have some weird cultural thing going on. But the worst thing is that there has been this speech at the podium, let's say, and one of the people said that, I'm gonna quote, "That's not written in the text, but we eventually should shoot them," talking about the Muslims. The radical Islamists, as we did after 1945. The police have killed people voluntarily. We would do the same thing. And everybody was laughing and then clapping away, which is really crazy. The member of the government, actually, she said in her speech that, living according to the Quran is not possible in Western Europe because you would be living according to the Middle Ages and it doesn't belong here. And everybody was like, yeah. So this idea that Islamic religion is backwards. What exactly is backwards there? As we explained, Islam led the world, and the empire, the Islamic Golden Age, led the world up until the 18th century when the Ottomans, and the 19th when the Ottoman Empire kind of collapsed. Muslims were at the peak of innovation, many times leading the world, especially when they were ruling Andalusia, which is now Spain, from Cordoba. The city had a toilet system. For example, they had drainage in their houses. They would have a sink where they could get water and do like wudu, like the sink would be in the house. Donkeys would come every day in the morning and take out the trash, similar to the garbage man. Where in Europe was this? And this is based on Islam, Cordoba. And now most of Europe's famous architecture is based on Islamic architecture as well. Cordoba, the entire Cordoba is based on Islam. Notre Dame in Paris is based on Islam, the architecture. We have so many great, unique things in Europe that come from Islam, which we don't even realize. But I do acknowledge that Muslims play a role in this bad image. For example, all the terrorist attacks, all the times where Muslims get angry for not many good reasons, and they just fall into the trap of non-Muslims trying to provoke them. That's sad. Or when Muslims criminalize and they leave Islam, or for example sell drugs, that's crazy, you know. And when you see these Muslim gangs, you're like, what is this? How can there be a Muslim gang? It doesn't make sense. So for Muslims, my message is, why are you going to Europe? To be honest, there is a clash of values, a civilization clash here. You won't have a good time. You won't have a good time. It will be okay, but you will feel it on every day that you're not welcomed. And if there's another option for you, try it. Maybe go to Turkey, maybe go to other country which is more welcoming to Muslims. From my experience, European Muslims have it pretty difficult, and it's not gonna get better. So there are places like the UK, Canada, which are more open, or Germany, I would say as well. But a lot of European countries you'll have troubles if you're not native like me. That people don't even realize that I'm a Muslim. Secret Muslim. Then you might have an issue. All right, guys. So that's it. That's my reaction, my feedback. I didn't really want to do this, but I just felt this need to do it because I'm European Muslim, and I'm not sure how many people saw this, but I have something to say about it because I used to be on that side of the fence as well, not that long ago, maybe 5-6 years ago, and now I'm a Muslim, and you know, it's just a good experience to share. So hopefully some of you got something from this video, and if you have any question about Islam, let me know. And I just hope Europeans will open themselves up to Islam and really start understanding what this religion is about. And yeah, hopefully that's gonna happen. So assalamu alaikum, everybody. Have a great day, and let's do this.